Hello friends. So in this screencast, this is the series 2 part 2, and this is the screencast on the workflow foundation 4.0. For more screencast and more information, you can visit my blog www.itsabhishekkumar.com. So in the screencast 1, I just explored what are the different workflow types, sequential, and then flowcharts and state machines. We looked few demos on each of those workflow types. So in this screencast, this is quite a small screencast. I'll just quickly demonstrate what are the arguments and what is the variables. You have been using arguments and variables obviously in your normal coding practices. So how to use those arguments and variables and how to pass them into workflow foundation 4.0, and that I will quickly demonstrate. Okay, so let's come back to Visual Studio. So in the Visual Studio, I'll just create one project. So file, new project, and I'll choose this workflow console application as okay. So this is my Screencast 02. So in this screencast, what I'll do is that I'll create one small workflow, and then I'll try to demonstrate that how to use this arguments and how to pass the arguments from the code. So this is my workflow. So this is my here we can just drop the activities. So this is my workflow. So in this workflow, I'll just use this sequential workflow. So I'll put a sequential control flow over here, and I'll just name it um, arithmetic operation sequence. Okay, so how to do it? Just select the activity and then go to display name and you can change it. Okay, and in this, so here we can see that in the toolbox there are certain activities are available. Those are known as basically the BALs, basic activity libraries elements, and I'll choose a very simple switch. Here when I use this switch, actually it asks for what is the type. So I'll choose a string type. Okay, and for this sequence, actually what this is just an arithmetic operation. I'll choose what are the different operators. I'll pass the operands, and depending upon the operator it will return back the result. So I'll have this I'll create arguments. So I've just selected this sequence, and I'll create one argument. So this is my argument 1, and the direction, there is another thing. This is the direction means it could be in, it could be out, in, out, or property. It if I say that this is in, it means the argument will be passed into the workflow, and this is the argument type. You can have these boolean, integer, string, or you can just browse for the different types if you have different types available. Okay, so for the time being, just take it as a very simple example. I'll use this string type argument, and I'll have this another this is arg2, this is again in, and one for operator, and take it, sorry, this is also in. Okay, operator is ops, op kar lete hain. Let's do it op, and just take it as integer. So I'll take the arguments as integer, and the operator as a string, that whether it's addition or it's a multiplication or subtraction. And then I have one output. This is my result, so I'll designate it as a out. So I have created these 4 arguments. So out of those 4, 3 will be passed into the sequence, I mean into the workflow, and 1 will be the out. Okay, so depending upon this operator, so the case is my expression is my operator, and case value, if it is add, then I can add activity. So I'll put one assignment operator over here. This is assign, and I'll say that my result would be arg1 plus arg2. Okay, as simple as that. And result is again, sorry, let's put it integer. Okay, now it's happy. And I can have one more case. So if you want to add more case, it's add new case, and if it is subtract, then again I'll put one assign activity over here, and its result equals to arg1 minus argument2, just like that. So basically I have added 2 cases. There is one default case. I'm not adding anything. You can have a default case also. That's all. So I have one sequence, and I have these 4 arguments. So depending upon this operator, actually I am just calculating the result depending upon the operator, and just storing into this output argument. Okay, now let's save it first. I want to pass these arguments from my code. So here you can see that, go to this program.cs file, and here you can see that we are using this workflow invoker to invoke the workflow. So this is, I mentioned in the previous screencast that this is a synchronous way, so I'll use this only for the time being, or let's use it asynchronous method. So this is my async method to invoke the workflow one. So how to do it? Obviously we have one workflow, new workflow one, and there is as I mentioned, that workflow application, and you have to pass this. Okay, one more thing, that because we have to just pass the arguments, how to do it into the WF. So there is a method, and we can use this dictionary objects. So I'll quickly dictionary, just add the, okay, so it's using system.collections namespace here, dictionary of string, and then object, and my input wf1 equals to new dictionary. So for dictionary, let's add it, new dictionary using system.collections.generic, new dictionary, and this is my string object. Okay, and I can just pass those arguments. So I have argument 1. So here we can see that we have created these arguments. So argument 1, and let's say this is my 10, and for the argument 2 it's suppose 2, and this is my argument, this was my operator, and let's say this is add. Okay, so I have passed these operands, and this is my operator. I'll create one more, this dictionary iDictionary collection, and this is for my output. Okay, so how to get the output out of this workflow? So when I pass the input arguments, so how to do it? Just you can use obviously the synchronous method also. So and the asynchronous method also, it's like all you have to do is to just to pass the input arguments. That's all. And now just run it. Run. But how to see the results? So whenever this is completed, I'll see that whether it's completed or not. So here we can just grab all the results. How to do it? It's e.result. So when you'll see that e.outputs, here it is, so you can actually use it. So this is my output, wf1 equals to e.outputs. That's all, and you can just print it. Output is my output, and then the key, the string key, that was result. Here you can see that this is result. Okay, sorry, this is plus. That's all. So maybe this is finished, so let's run it. Okay, so you cannot see the result, so let me just put one console dot read line so that you can check the result also. Okay, it's output 0. There is some okay, so okay, sorry. So in the case here we can see that it's just add, okay, and then only just sub. Okay, so now let's run the program. Okay, so it's output 12. So you can see that we had just passed the argument 1 and argument 2 and the operator, and just collected the results whenever the workflow application gets completed into this e.outputs. And you can actually pass this output to the another workflow also. So maybe you can have one more workflow. So I'll add one more workflow to the workflow. It's workflow 2, and for this workflow you can just pass the arguments, and in this workflow let's drop one write line activity, and you can see that this is workflow 2, and the result equals to, let's create one argument, this is my in argument, result from wf1. I'll just copy this, and here you can see that you can use this also, and I'll just print out this. Okay, so I can pass the result of one workflow to other. So it's simple that you can create one more iDictionary also, and then you can pass. So this is my wf2, and then input wf2, and then pass the key. Sorry, so the key was just the name of the argument, and then the result. So this was my output wf1, the result of first workflow, and I can just run it. So this time I'll use a normal synchronous method. You can use again the synchronous method, whatever you want to do. So workflow invoker dot invoke, and then new workflow 2, and then the input argument. Okay, so let's run it. Some error. Okay, so let's do it. Let's run it again. So this is output 12. Okay. Result. So there was some error. Let me see that the argument in is equals to wf1. It's actually a string type int. Okay, I just forgot to change. So here you can see that output equals to 12, and then this the result of first workflow get passed to the second workflow, and this is the result of the second workflow. So this is the workflow 2, and the result equals to 12. So what I did into this screencast, that I had this one workflow wf1. Sorry, this was a wf1, and then I passed few arguments. So it was my argument 1, argument 2, and then operator, and there was the output I stored. So I used this dictionary collections, and then you can maybe you can use it to the another workflow also, or you can pass it anywhere. So where these are the arguments, these are the input arguments, this was the output argument, and this output argument was actually the input argument for the another workflow. So in this manner you can use the arguments, and variables are just like the normal variables you are using into the normal coding practices. So maybe so just look at here, and into the add, maybe you can use one. Let's create one variable. Okay, so I'll just cut it, and I'll put a sequence, and then I'll just right click and paste, and I'll create one for this sequence. I'll say I have selected the sequence and then variable. So let me create maybe margin. Okay, let's create one variable margin of the type integer. Here you can see that the scope is where actually what is the scope of those variables. So you must take care that I have just mentioned that this is the scope of this sequence. So basically here you can see the names, display names of all the activities, all the parent activities also. So here you can see that because this is inside this arithmetic operation sequence, so here you can see this is sequence. So I can use this margin, and you can have some default values. Suppose the default value of this is 5, so and I want to print the result. So I'll add this the margin. Okay, and now let's run it. Okay, let's see the results. So here we can see that the output equals to 17 because we have used the variable margin and added into the result. So in this way you can use the variables, and you can use it in any manner, whatever you want to do. Suppose I want to assign the margin, so maybe I can use I can put one more activity over here and then set the margin to, let's say, 10, and then again I can run it. Or you can have any loop or any other code, so you can use those variables in that manner. So maybe margin and then 200, and then again you can run it to see the results. So in this way, actually, here you can see the output. So in this manner you can use the variables and the arguments into the workflow foundation WF 4.0. Okay, thanks a lot, and in the future screencast we will look about the custom activities and how to host these workflow and use it as a WCF service, and those how to consume those WCF service into other client applications. So thanks a lot. For more information you can visit my blog www.itsabhishekkumar.com.